Ever since I was a child, I had a passion for drawing, and especially cartoons. I'll never forget laying in front of the TV with a pencil and paper in hand and drawing whatever I saw on screen. As I switched channels from Cartoon Network to Nickelodeon to Toon Disney, I was obsessed with cartoons, and even through adulthood, it still hasn't changed. The love for the medium also led to my career as a cartoonist and animator. A lot of the cartoons on this list I saw when I was a little kid, but stuck with me through adulthood. So let's take a look at Count Them Down in the first of a 3-part video. These are the tunes that mean the most to me, the ones that stood the test of time, the ones that inspired me to create. I suppose before we start, I should get one qualification out the way. They have to be made for TV cartoons. Of course I love Looney Tunes, Tom and Jerry, Disney shorts, and Popeye, but they were originally shown in theaters during the golden age, even though I and many others saw them in reruns and syndication. So, without further ado, this is my top 30 favorite cartoons. But first, a word from our sponsor, TeePublic. Visit the 47Cartoonguy's TeePublic store to get tees designed by yours truly. You can also get these fire designs on stickers, phone cases, mugs, you name it. Go to teepublic.com/user/cartoonguy and check them out today. Number 30, The Lion King's Timon and Pumbaa. The Lion King is one of my all-time favorite films, and two of my favorite characters are the meerkat and warthog duo of Timon and Pumbaa. I remember watching reruns of the show on Toon Disney and falling in love with it. At a time where a lot of cartoons were trying to be Ren and Stimpy, this show was pretty much a love letter to classic Warner Brothers and Tex Avery shorts. And anytime Disney imitates a Warner cartoon, it's always a treat. Of course, getting Nathan Lane and early Sabella back to play off each other is a lot of fun. And being a Disney TV cartoon, the animation is top notch. The best episodes are the ones done by Disney's Australian studio. The expressions, the posing, the timing, everything just worked. I like to study this show whenever I'm animating my characters. The memorable episodes are way too many to count. My favorites are the Fantasia spoof, or the one where they try to stop the Gilbert Godfrey woodpecker from pecking the tree, the ones where they try to sneak into the hotel, or when they rescue Speedy the snail from a crazy French chef. It's an underrated show and my favorite of the Disney afternoon cartoons. It's on Disney Plus, so check it out.
Hakuna Matata, Timon and Pumbaa.
Number 29, Regular Show. The adventures of two slackers, Mordecai, a blue jay, and a raccoon named Rigby, who are groundskeepers at a park, and the strange predicaments they get themselves into. I love this strange cast of characters. Mordecai and Rigby had dimension to them than your typical slacker stereotypes. You have to be careful with slacker characters, because they can be really charming or really annoying. And for me, Mordecai and Rigby are really charming and funny too. Even the side characters get some laughs. The whole laid-back but surreal tone kind of reminds me of those obscure CN pilots that never really made it, like Kitty Bobo or Ferret and Parrot, but it stands out as its own thing. It's also more skewed towards older audiences than previous CN shows. It's also weird. A fun kind of weird. Some of that jokes and imagery really stuck with me ever since I saw it as a teenager. If you're looking for an odd and surreal time with some funny characters, check out Regular Show. Number 28, Yogi Bear. One of Hanna-Barbera's most popular characters, this picnic basket-stealing bear schemes in Jellystone Park along with his pal Boo Boo, all while trying to avoid the strict Ranger Smith. There's something special about classic HB characters. The shows were not huge productions and made with very little money, but the charming characters and formula sticks with you. And Yogi is no exception. He loves food, he's anti-authority, and you love seeing him getting into trouble and wonder how he's going to get out of it. I can't help but notice how much Yogi material I still enjoy as an adult. Not just this show, but also Yogi's Treasure Hunt. Some of the TV specials are a lot of fun. And Hey There's Yogi Bear is one of my favorite films. Even Jellystone, while geared more towards the Gen Z crowd, it can be pretty entertaining too. Recently, Cartoon Network has aired reruns for the show for the first time since 2004. I'm glad current generations are getting a chance to grow up with this smarter than average bear.
Just because he's smarter than the average bear. Just because he's smarter than the average
Number 27, Wacky Races. Another gem from Hanna-Barbera. This late 60s show, inspired by one of the great comedies of all time, features racers driving all over the world to win the title of World's Wackiest Racer. This cast is excellent. They're all very colorful characters and you enjoy watching them, though my personal favorites, and I'm sure everyone else's, are the villains Dick Dastardly and Muttley, who in my opinion steal the show whenever they're on screen. So much so they got a spin-off years later. Dick is definitely one of my all-time favorite funny villains, with his Wile E. Coyote-like plans to cheat, along with his back and forth with Muttley, and being voiced by the legendary Paul Winchell is nothing to sneeze at either. Not too long ago, there was a reboot on the Boomerang app that was more self-aware, and that was pretty funny, highly underrated if you ask me. Check it out.
On the way out, Wacky Races.
Number 26, Animaniacs. Probably one of the best examples of a cartoon made for both kids and adults. The premise is great. It's a variety show where three toons from the 30s escape from a water tower and wreak havoc in present day, and they're accompanied by other characters in the show who star in their own segments. The Warners are great, Pinky and the Brain are iconic, and Slimy Squirrel is hilarious, but I have to say I don't really care much for the other segments. I didn't get the Good Feathers as a kid, which is understandable, I wasn't the right age to see what they were referencing. Buttons and Minnie got old after a while, the Hip Hippos were boring, and Kitty Kaboom was just one joke. Regardless, I still think the show is really good, not only due to the characters like the Warners, but also the writing and animation definitely harkens back to the old Looney Tunes cartoons. It's a fantastic show that still holds up, and there's more to it than just Yakko's World or Fingerprints. Just saying. Number 25, The Boondocks. Now I never read the comic strip this was based on, but you don't really need to. Episode 1 gives a clear look at what the show is about. The writing is really good. It satirizes hot topic issues many black people face, like racism and negative stereotypes. The characters, who you can see as stereotypes themselves, are likable and sometimes a reminder that they exist in real life. You and I both know a Riley, a Tom, a Huey, and even a Ruckus. Episodes like The Trial of R. Kelly shows society's willingness to look the other way when a celebrity does horrid shit because they make good music. The Gaystalicious episode points out homophobia in the black community, especially in hip-hop spaces. Martin Luther King's speech in Return of the King is probably one of the show's best moments. The animation and art style is impressive too. Aaron McGruder is a huge fan of anime, and has coolly incorporated his style in the show. It's almost similar to Cowboy Bebop or Afro Samurai. My favorite character has to be Granddad. John Witherspoon, you are a legend and left us way too soon. May you rest in peace. There was a reboot that's supposed to air on HBO Max, but it ended up being cancelled. And seeing all the stuff they wanted to do, it was probably for the best. But you know what? Thank God we still have the original. Number 24, Primal. This show is just a marvel. Premise: in the prehistoric age, a caveman named Spear, who lost his family to the Gigantosaurus, teams up with a female Tyrannosaurus, whose children were also eaten by the same pack. They team up as they try to survive the Jurassic era. This is probably one of the most gorgeous adult cartoons I've seen in a long time. I just love looking at these backgrounds, the colors, and the lighting. Character designs are just fantastic. You know what else this show has? Atmosphere. You really feel like you're in this world. We also get a sense of who these characters are and how they're feeling without a single hit of dialogue. It relies heavily on visual storytelling, and that's something creator Jenny Tartakovsky really excels at in his works. And I just love anything that man does. The action and fight scenes are very creative, and you become so attached to these two, you do wonder what's going to happen in each episode. I can't recommend this show enough. See it if you haven't already. And FYI, this isn't the last time we're going to be hearing from Jenny in this countdown. Number 23, Robot Chicken. This stop motion sketch comedy was one of my late night go-tos on Adult Swim in middle and high school. And I'm not gonna lie, I still enjoy it, especially the out there dark humor, as well as making fun of pop culture. So many skits you watch and just laugh at how absurd it is, like an 8 Mile parody with Bugs Bunny, or Hogan's Heroes with Hulk Hogan, or Pinky and the Brain going on a bender. Only the Robot Chicken guys can come up with something like this. Of course, there are some bad sketches like anything, but the ones that are funny are really funny. Not too much to say here, but Robot Chicken is hilarious. Number 22, The Critic. John Lovitz is Jay Sherman, a pretentious film critic who has a television show called Coming Attractions and gets crapped on due to his unpopular opinions. Most of the show is filled with satires, side gags, and pop culture references to movies and TV from the time, which gets a lot of laughs. I love how laid back the show is, especially being an adult cartoon. Jay himself is a lovable jerk, and most of the humor of the show has him working off the equally hilarious side characters. The jokes are pretty sharp too, and I love the art style. I think one of my favorite episodes is the one with Siskel and Ebert. The Critic was a very fun show that deserves more attention. Today in adult animation where we see new and inventive ideas versus flat out garbage, trust me when I say, this is one show that doesn't stink. Number 21, Space Goes Coast to Coast. Now I specifically remember watching this show in the late 90s on Cartoon Network, way before Adult Swim was even created. And let me tell you, I enjoyed it much better than its 1960s counterparts, even though I was much too young to get the surreal jokes and dialogue. This is one of the shows that influenced my bizarre sense of humor. The characters are great. Space Ghost with his huge ego and snarky delivery, which greatly contrasts Moltar and Zorak's annoyance with him. And let's not forget Brack, who pretty much became a popular character in his own right. The voice acting especially deserves a mention. Don't get me wrong, I love Gary Owens, but I'll always associate George Lowe's voice with Space Ghost. The celebrity guests are also a lot of fun to watch. It's hilarious to see them play along with the madness going on. Aside from making history as the first ever Cartoon Network original series, it also influenced shows like The Eric Andre Show, and was responsible for most of Adult Swim's original programming. For whatever reason, HBO Max deleted the show from the app, but I encourage you to collect the DVDs. It's one show that deserves another look. Well, that's about all the time we have for part 1. Stay tuned for part 2. If you'd like to support this series and many other videos, click the link below to our Patreon. You could get a special credit at the end of each video, and a shout out to your YouTube channel or blog, a commission by me, and now my $5 tier. In addition to early access and special credits, you can request a Hanna-Barbera special or movie for me to review as part of my fantastic legacy of Hanna-Barbera minisode series. A lot goes into the making of these videos, and your help can make production go smoother, in terms of me paying for software, research materials, etc. And as always, if you're not able to donate, you could help by liking, commenting, subscribing, and clicking the bell icon. I thank you, and I gotta fly. I'll catch you later.